Hey guys, this side Anirudh. I'll be your trainer today. So we have few sessions that we already gone through for BGP. So welcome to the next session. Let's go on.
So let's start med now. Multi-exit discriminator, and also you can call it matrix. Lower will always be preferred over higher, and it comes under optional non-transitive. Optional non-transitive attribute or transitive attribute. It comes under optional non-transitive attribute, right? So of course it will be optional, because if you configure it, then it will go along with your BGP updates, right? And if you do not configure it, then definitely it will not go along with BGP updates. Now thing is like, for an example, right now if you move on R1, let's configure this R1, because I'm using the older diagram over here. Like my actual diagram, I mean logical diagram, is something like this, that R1 is having neighborship with R5 and R6 in this way, and then further R5 and R6 are connected with service providers, like they are connected with the Sprint, as well as they are also connected with BT, you understand, in this way. Further, BT and Sprint are also interconnected, then New York router is also connected with BT. So in this way your network is designed. So let's move on R1 once again, and you see I will configure it as a route reflector first of all, 65500 neighbor 150.1.5.1 route reflector client, then neighbor 6.1 route reflector client. So IP BGP summary. Neighborship will come up, will take some little bit time, right? But finally neighborship will come up. Wait for a moment. Finally neighborship have came up. So IP BGP for R1, its best path is via R5, and you know very well that why is it via R5, based on IGP cost to reach next hop. So to solve that problem, what can I do? Or I can move back again on R force at F2 by 0, R force F2 by 0, and let's configure its OSPF cost as 64, so that the cost IGP cost to reach next hop address would be equal from R1 to reach R5 as well as to reach R6. It means that best path selection will not be performed based on IGP cost to reach next hop, as you can see here now that it is same. So basically its best path selection is not done based on IGP cost to reach next hop now. After that, of course, they are using their router IDs, I mean neighbors router ID, and based on router IDs they have selected their best path. Now because we know very well that of course R5 is having lower router ID than R6, and my requirement is something like this, that for last two prefixes its best path should be via R6 only, and for first two prefixes its best path should remain via R5. So of course you can manipulate it with using med as well. So by default you can see that if you are receiving prefixes coming from IBGP neighbor, then by default its metric is what? 0. And one more thing, I mean you must remember that if you are advertising your prefixes to your EBGP neighbor, sometimes it will be nothing, sometimes it will be nothing, but sometimes it will be 0. Like for an example, New York router is having all these prefixes as self-advertised prefixes inside its own BGP table. It is giving them to its EBGP neighbor BT, and on BT you can check its BGP table, so IP BGP you see, and by default its metric it is showing now 0. But now when BT will advertise these prefixes towards either Sprint, R5 or R6, so BT was not having these prefixes as self-advertised on itself. It also received these prefixes from another EBGP neighbor. So now if you move on R6 and if you check its BGP table, when it is receiving it from BT, you see that by default metric is what? Null, nothing. So thing is like in some cases metric will be nothing, null, and in some cases of course it will be 0. So here you can see that in most of the cases it is 0, but in some cases it is also nothing, null. But remember that if it is null, then also by default it will be considered something like 0. I mean it's nothing, right? It's 0. Are you okay with it? Finally, we are on R1, and once again I want to manipulate its path selection for last two prefixes only, that its best path should be via R6 based on med. You know very well that lower will always be preferred. So via R5 and R6, via both neighbors, its default med is what? 0. So now you cannot configure your med lower than 0. So you can configure only higher than 0 only. So do one thing, configure its metric higher than 0 via R5. Configure its metric higher than 0 via R5, so that its best path will become via R6 only, right? So do one thing now, create one prefix list, CCIE permit last two prefixes only, 102.0/23 greater than equal to 24 less than equal to 24, and then route map name is met permit, and match IP address prefix list is what? CCIE. Then say set metric is what? 1, because 1 is also higher than 0, and all other prefixes must come with same attributes, with default attributes, right? So I have permitted all others so that they will not be, other prefixes will not be implicitly denied. So all others will also be permitted over here, and now you can move in router mode once again, and then you configure this route map for neighbor. Tell me, for R5 or for R6? For R5 this time, because via R5 you are configure its map higher than via R6. So neighbor R5, and then route map name was med in which direction? In, because all prefixes are incoming prefixes, incoming prefixes. So of course you have to apply this route map in its inbound direction only, right? So now do show IP BGP. You will see that there will not be any effect. Once you will say clear IP BGP start in, and then check its BGP table once again. You see, for last two prefixes, its best path has been configured via. Check it out. It's not it. So in this way, you can manipulate your BGP path selection for outgoing traffic, for outbound traffic with using MET. But again, the question is same. You could achieve the same task with using either wait or. Then what's the uses of this MET over here? The actual uses of MET is just to manipulate path selection of ISP routers. The main uses of MET will also be to manipulate path selection of ISP routers. So let me do one thing. Let me remove it from here. Fine. Once again, its best path is via R5. Now what will I do? I will create some prefixes on R1 as well, like from fine. So let's move on R1. Sorry, yes, loopback 1 is not there. 100 loopback 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, router BGP, check it out. Now all these prefixes will be advertised in the direction of BT. Fine, let's move on BT now. And one more thing that I would like to do here, I will shut down this link one as well on R5. This is print, right? So that now R5 and R6 are having connection from the same ISP BT. They are also advertising their prefixes, their own prefixes. I mean, this customer is also advertising its own prefixes in the direction of BT. So now you can find all these prefixes available on BT. And now check that which path is the best path for BT to reach all these prefixes. I think it's via R5. Not for via R5. For one prefix it is via R5, and for other prefixes it is via R6. I mean, it's any one of the router, right? Even you can also do one thing. You can say clear IP BGP, clear IP BGP start. So once again it will reset its neighborship, and this time we will see that which path is the best path to reach all these hundreds prefixes, right? Show IP BGP. You see, this time its best path to reach all of them is via R5. Is via R5. Because in BGP actually oldest path will take place. So of course it received these prefixes from R5 first, so that is why it has defined its best path via R5. By default it will not compare its router ID, I mean neighbor's router ID, for its best path selection in case of if your neighbor is eBGP neighbor. If your neighbor is eBGP neighbor, then it will never compare their router IDs. But you can force your BGP to use router ID for its best path selection in case of eBGP neighbors as well. I will let you know later on that how can you configure your BGP so that it will also start to compare their router IDs in case of eBGP neighbors as well. So I'll be discussing all these things, and we will also do some configuration related to it, right? So right now we have seen here that again the problem is like link 2 will be overutilized and link 3 will be underutilized. Then you have to call to your BT, you have to call to your ISP, and then of course ISP will work according to according to their SLA, service level agreement. Understood? So this is the problem actually. Now to solve this problem actually you can modify path selection of yes by yourself, even without calling your ISP, with using MED. And one more thing, this time R5 and R6 are receiving these prefixes coming from R1, right, IBGP neighbor, and then it is advertising it towards BT, and that is why here you can see that MED is what? Nothing. Even ISPs can also configure this command, router BGP. See, this time MED was not any, I was not receiving any prefix with any MED value, right? But ISPs can also configure this command at their own end, like BT, I mean here router BGP 35500 BGP best path they can also configure this command, BGP best path MED missing as worst. So what's the meaning of it? That if any prefix is coming without any MED, then its metric will be considered as a worst metric. Show IP BGP 4.2 billions. You understand? So even ISP can also configure this command at their own end. So generally it is necessary for us to advertise any metric along with BGP updates. Previously CR5 and R6 was not giving, I mean right now also R5 and R6 are not advertising their prefixes with the metric. They are advertising these prefixes without any MED. Even you can also do one more thing here. Let me capture this link, this one. Exactly, router mode.
तो फिर ये जो रूट्स सारे लिया हुए हैं,
Along with that, it was also receiving MED 0. If prefix is coming without any MED, if it is 0, then it's okay. But if prefixes are coming without any MED, then it will configure their metric as worst metric. So now you see, again it has to advertise update. See, R6 have given an update packet. See all hundreds prefixes. Is there MED? Under path attribute, is it containing MED? Of course no. So there was no MED now, right? That is why here it have configured its MED as 4.2 billions, because prefixes were coming without any MED. So ISPs can also configure this command. So don't be confused if you find something like this. Then after, because I wanted to perform load balancing at the end of ISP, even without having the console of ISP router. To do that, actually what I want now, that for 100.1.0/24 to 100.1.3.0/24, or this time let's say 4.0/24. Up for first 4 prefixes, link 2 should be preferred. For last 3 prefixes 5, 6, 7, its best path should be via link 3. Fine. Have you got my point or not? And you know very well what is the rule, that lower MED will always be preferred. So do one thing, for first 4 prefixes, advertise lower MED from R5 and advertise higher MED from R6 in the direction of ISP. For last 3 prefixes, advertise lower MED from R6 towards ISP and advertise higher MED from R5 towards ISP. Is not it? So to do that, actually what will I do this time on R5? See, previously in BGP update it was not carrying MED value, right? But this time it will start to carry MED value. Let me show you now. I have to create one prefix list, CCIE permit. I have to call first 4 prefixes in it. Fine. And then IP prefix list with same name, permit 100.1.4.0/24. So that first 4 prefixes will match with these 2 statements. It is not possible to call all 4 prefixes with using a single command, right? So here I used 2 different statements for a single prefix list to match first 4 prefixes. Now say route map, name is med permit 10, match IP address, prefix list name is set. Tell me, metric is what? For first, let's configure it 1, right? Let's configure it as 1, and then I have to allow all other prefixes as well with higher. Or you do one thing, okay, let me create another statement for the same route map with higher sequence number, and let's say set metric is what? 2. So all other prefixes will be advertised with metric 2, means 100.1.5.0, 6.0 as well as 7.0. They will be advertised in the direction of ISP, but with metric 2. So this time I'm not using match command under this statement of this route map, but I'm using set command. so that all other prefixes will be advertised with metric 2. Just come outside, say router BGP 65500, neighbor 200.105.100.1. route map name is in which direction? Because you are advertising prefixes in this direction, right? You are this time you are not receiving, you are advertising. That is why you have to apply this route map in outbound direction. Do clear IP BGP star. Now move on R6 and configure this R6. So on R6 I will advertise its metric as 1 for last 3 prefixes. To do that, IP prefix list CCIE permit 100.1.5.0 slash, and then IP prefix list CCIE permit 100.1.6.0 slash 23 greater than equal to 24 less than equal to is also. So last 2 prefixes 6 and 7 will match with this statement of this prefix list, right? And then create one another route map over here, route map med permit and match IP address prefix list name was, then set metric is what? 1 for all other prefixes. Yes, don't match anything but say set metric is what? Router BGP 65500, neighbor 201.100.100.1, route map name is med in which direction? Out. Say do clear IP BGP star out. Let's move on BT now. For first 4 prefixes, its best path is via. Is not it? And this time, see, when R6 given an update message, see, med is going. Is not it? Check it out. And this time it have sent 2 different update messages because med value was different. Let me show you. If you move back again on BT and once again say clear IP BGP star, so R6 will be responsible to advertise prefixes once again. See, so R6 is giving 2 update packets now because it is having different attribute for different prefixes. This time it is not having same attribute for all prefixes. If it is having same attribute for all prefixes, it will send only one update. So first update 678 med is 1, I mean 567, sorry, and in next update packet med is what? 2 4 1 2 3 4, is not it? So if BGP attributes are common for all prefixes, then all of them will be, will go within a single update packet. Understood? So now I have not done anything at the end of BT, but still you will see that BT has modified its path selection now. Check it out. And now see, it is not showing you worst metric. Yeah. Because that command that we configured on BT, it will configure its metric as worst metric if it is not receiving any value along with BGP updates. But this time you can see that for first 4 prefixes, its best path is via R5. For last 3 prefixes, its best path is via Any problem? Fine. And one more thing, in case if any one of the link goes down, then for all prefixes traffic will start to go through another link. So along with the load sharing, you are also having redundancy. And now in T-shoot, what type of problem they can create actually, that whenever they will configure any route map for MAD, I mean for modifying your attribute and all these things, they will not give this another statement, or in place of permit they can say deny. So you have to permit that entry, you have to edit that entry with permit keyword. And also sometimes what happens that they will not create any other statement of the route map. Boss, I was late yesterday because I was fine, guys. So they will, or what can they do, in prefix list they can deny it, and in route map they can permit it. So again it will be, you understand? So that's the problem. So you have to be very careful. So let's move back again on BT, and of course we have achieved our task. But now let's do one thing. Let's start to use this link 1 as well now. Move back again on our file. Link 3 will also come up. And now because this print US will also start to advertise the same prefixes in the direction of BT, but without any metric. So that BT will also configure its metric as worst metric via sprint. Let me show you. This time it will start to receive these prefixes from 3 different neighbors. I mean, it have also started to use, to receive these prefixes coming from sprint as well. Is not it? So of course its best path will not be via sprint. But now what I decided actually later on, that this time customer observed that for incoming traffic it is using, ISPs are using only link 2 or link 3. Link 1 is not in use at all. Link 1 is not in use at all. So now network admin wants to use link 1 for incoming traffic. Okay, so now we can see that customer experienced that for incoming traffic link 1 is not in use at all, but I want what I want, that at least for 100.1.4.0 only for this prefix traffic should come via sprint US. Like customer wants that for this specific prefix only incoming traffic should come via link 1. Now I know very well that this election is done by BT, so I'll have to request sprint US to advertise prefix in the direction of BT with lower metric. So right now for this prefix R5 is advertising this prefix with the metric 1, whereas R6 is advertising this prefix with metric 2. So I have to send a request to sprint US that do one thing, for this prefix only advertise your metric as 0, which will be lower than 1 as well as 2. So now I have to send a request to sprint, and sprint has to do this configuration at their own end. So now create one prefix list, CCIE permit 100.1.4.0/24. Then create one route map with the name of med permit 10 match IP address prefix list is what? CCIE. Set metric is what? 0 for, and all others must go with default attributes, no problem. So router BGP 21545, then neighbor 101.1.10, I think so. Sorry, no, it is 2. It is 2. And then route map name is what? Mad in which direction? Out, because Sprint is advertising these prefixes in the direction of BT. Once again, let's move on BT now. Let's check whether election is manipulated or it's not manipulated. See, we have started to use it, to receive its metric as 0 via Sprint, but still its best path is via R5. You can check it out here. Why?
If
Exactly, because before MED, it will compare its AS path attribute. Via Sprint, it has to across 2 ASs, whereas via R5 and R6, it has to across only 1 AS. So AS path attribute is coming first, then MED, then metric. Is not it? That is why best path selection is not done based on MED. To solve this problem, because I want to take decision based on MED, now I can ask this BT to do not consider AS path attribute for its best path selection. We can also configure our BGP to do not consider AS path attribute itself for its best path selection. So say router BGP is 35500, BGP best path AS path ignore, and this command is hidden command. You will never be able to see it in question mark. Like here, before ignore, if I put question mark, it will show you unrecognized. Even after best path also, AS path is not there. So this command is hidden command. So after running this command, now you see, oh my god, it was this one, right? So now show IP BGP, check its BGP table. Have it defined its best path via Sprint? No, not yet. Do one thing, say clear IP BGP, start hard reset. Let's see whether your changes will take place or not. For 4.0, still its best path is via R5. Piyush, your changes have not taken place. AS path. However, we have asked to BGP to do not consider AS path attribute for its best path selection, but still it is considering it. But it's not considering AS path attribute. But the problem is with MED. Actually, for MED there is a rule that, for an example, this time previously BT was receiving prefixes with different MED from same AS, and it was 65500. So if a router is receiving same prefix from 2 different neighbors with a different metric, but both of them are in same AS, if neighbors are in same AS, in that case it can compare their MED very easily. But let's say that this time what you did actually, let's say this is BT, this is R5, and this is what? Sprint. Now Sprint is using 21545, whereas R5 was using 65500, means both of them were in different ASs, right? So if you are receiving same prefix from 2 different ASs, in that case MED will never be compared. In that case, well will never be compared by default. So MED will be compared in that case only when you are receiving prefixes from same AS only. So previously BT was receiving prefixes from same AS 65500, because R5 and R6 were in same AS, but this time Sprint is in different AS. But we can also force this BGP to consider to select its best path based on MED itself. Even it will be receiving prefixes from different ASs. To do that, inside BGP you have to configure this command 355 BGP. Sorry, BGP always compare MED. BGP always compare MED. Now do show IP BGP. Still its best path is via R5. So do one thing. Say do clear IP BGP star. Hard reset will be required. Hard reset will be required. So this time you will see that its best path for that prefix only will become via. And if you do not configure that ignore AS path command, then again it will not consider this path due to AS path attribute, because via sprint it has to across two ASs, whereas via R5 and R6 it has to across only one AS. So all these commands were required to achieve this task. So I hope that you have came to know that what is the uses of command BGP, best path, MED, missing as worst. What is the uses of ignore AS path? AS path ignore, and the uses of always compare MED. Is not it? So we have discussed all these things related to MED. Fine. So now you can see that for BT, of course, what is happening for first three prefixes, best path is via R5. You can see that for 100.4.0 its best path is via sprint. For 5 and 6 its best path is via 6. 5, 6, 7. Hello.
Thank you so much, guys, for watching my video. So we'll be coming back with few more videos of the BGP. Please subscribe my channel. That's @ARC_tutorial. Thank you so much, guys. See you in next video.